to be given to us by Dr. Joseph Vasconcillo about the climate review of June-July 2022. Sir Joseph.
Magandang araw sa ating lahat. Ako po si Joseph Vasconcillo mula pa rin sa Climate Monitoring and Prediction section ng PAGASA. So you can hear me loud and clear?
Yes,
Okay. All right, so let me share my screen. All right, so can you confirm if you can see my screen as well as if it is moving?
Can you try to move your screen, please?
It is moving now. So is it moving?
Yes, it is.
Alright, so okay. Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Ako po muli si Joseph Vasconcillo mula sa Climate Monitoring and Prediction section ng PAGASA DOST. Hindi po natin pahabayan. I won't make this presentation longer dahil meron po tayong hinahabol na oras. So I'll try to make it simple and concise as possible. So this climate review is for June to July 25, 2022. Alright, for the content of my presentation, I'm going to discuss first the recent ENSO condition. Ano nga ba yung tinatawag natin ENSO or El Nino Southern Oscillation, and then I'm going to discuss what are the weather systems that affected the country for the same period from June to July 25, 2022. And then I'm going to provide our climate assessment, national climate assessment in terms of rainfall and temperature, and lastly, I'm going to provide a summary. So this is a very short presentation just to provide you a brief review of what happened in the past, at least in the past 2 months. So what is El Nino? El Nino, what is ENSO? ENSO is the El Nino Southern Oscillation, or it is the large-scale variability resulting from the interaction between the ocean and the atmosphere in the tropical Pacific. Suffice to say, there are 3 phases of ENSO. We call it El Nino kapag merong unusual warming in the CEP or Central and Eastern Equatorial Pacific, doon sa gitnang Pasipiko. And then we say meron tayong La Nina kapag merong unusual cooling in the CEP. Ibig sabihin nito ay may paglamig na nararanasan doon sa karagatang Pasipiko. And then we have the neutral, walang El Nino or nor La Nina. All right, so we have different ENSO indicators that we use at least for our climate monitoring. First, we use the sea surface temperature, or what we call the oceanic indicator. And from June 2022, the value for the sea surface temperature in the Nino 3.4 region is negative 0.77. Usually, nagkakaroon ka ng La Nina or unusual cooling in the CAAP kapag yung temperature anomalies natin ay negative 0.5. As we can see, for June 2022, mas mababa pa nga doon sa negative 0.5, kaya ito ay nasa La Nina threshold. Alright, and then we also have another indicator. We use the Southern Oscillation Index. It is our atmospheric indicator. The SOI, you call it the SOI, is the standardized anomaly between the mean sea level pressure in Tahiti. Tahiti ay nandun sa Central and Eastern Equatorial Pacific, samantalang sa Darwin ay malapit sa atin, malapit sa Australia. So Darwin in Australia. And then, the last value of SOI, at least in June 2022, is 21.2. Usually, kapag may La Nina ka, dapat mas mababa sa 7. So nakikita natin yung ating value for SOI is 21.2. So it is far more than doon sa La Nina threshold natin. So both the oceanic and the atmospheric indicators are saying na meron tayong La Nina levels. Okay, so meron tayo, ulitin natin, both the atmospheric that correspond to SOI and oceanic SSTA, both are saying that we are at La Nina level. So the ENSO alert system status of PAGASA still under La Nina advisory. So nag-issue tayo ng La Nina advisory number 10 issued on July 5, 2022. Sinabi natin dito na despite La Nina's weakening in the tropical Pacific noong mga nakaraang buwan, most climate models predict La Nina may persist until the end of the year with a maximum probability of 59% chance of persistence during this forecast, during this period. And La Nina increases the likelihood of having above normal rainfall conditions in some areas of the country, and we are expecting adverse impacts associated with La Nina, such as floods and landslide, that may occur, especially in the vulnerable areas and sectors of the society. Okay, weather systems that affected the country from June to July 25, 2022, we experienced thunderstorms, of course, associated with the onset of the southwest monsoon. And then we also experienced easterlies, tail end of frontal system, or what we call the shear line. We also experienced ridge of high pressure areas, HPAs, intertropical convergence zone, low pressure areas, southwest monsoon, and we experienced two tropical cyclones. May sumabit na dalawa for the period June to July 25, 2022. Nung June, meron pumasok na dalawang bagyo, si Tropical Depression Kaloy from June 28 to 30 at si Tropical Storm Doming June 30 to July 2. Sumabit si Tropical Storm Doming. So ito yung track ni Tropical Depression Kaloy from June 28 to 2020, June 28 to 30. Yung kanyang international name ay Chaba. Lumabas siya ng Philippine Area of Responsibility at nag-intensify siya even more into typhoon. Ang international name niya ay Chaba. It has a registered lifetime maximum intensity of 74 knots before siya naglandfall dito sa may bandang southern China. 74 knots that corresponds to 137 kilometers per hour or 969 hectopascal noong July 2 UTC, July 200 UTC. All right. Now, may isa pang bagyo. Meron tayong ito yung kanyang lifetime maximum intensity umabot sa kanya ng 74 knots noong July 200 UTC. Alright, ito naman si Tropical Storm Doming. Lumabas din siya ng Philippine Area of Responsibility. Bago siya lumabas ng Philippine Area of Responsibility, nag-intensify siya into a tropical storm June 30 to July 2 naman si Tropical Storm Doming. Ang kanyang international name ay Aire at nagkaroon siya ng lifetime maximum intensity of 45 knots or 83 kilometers per hour noong July 1, 1800 UTC. Alright. Now, these are the tropical cyclone-associated rainfall both with TD Kaloy, Tropical Depression Kaloy, and Tropical Storm Doming at halos walang pag-ulan na naitala associated with these two tropical cyclones na pumasok sa Philippine Area of Responsibility primarily because yung kanilang tracks ay dumaplis lamang doon sa Philippine Area of Responsibility at hindi sila na masyado nagtagal doon sa loob ng PAR. Now, understanding our rainfall maps, so we're going to show our rainfall maps. We have four colors, basically. The red corresponds to way below normal. For the yellow, that corresponds to below normal rainfall. For the green, that corresponds to near normal rainfall. And for the blue, that corresponds to above normal rainfall. At ito po yung kanyang corresponding percentage values. All right. So now, this is the actual rainfall for June 2022. This is the normal rainfall from June 1991 to 2020. And as we can see, this is the percent of normal. And then we had 4 provinces that experienced way below normal rainfall. Mostly mga provinces na to ay nasa Soc-Sargen at isa sa Davao Oriental. Davao Region sa Davao Oriental. And then karamihan ng mga provinces natin in June 2022 ay naka-experience ng below normal rainfall. 47 provinces po yan, sinundan ng 30 provinces na naka-experience ng near normal rainfall and 2 provinces with above normal rainfall. All right, from July 1 to 25, 2022, very fresh pa po, meron tayong 6 na provinces na naka-experience ng way below normal rainfall. So hindi pa po tapos yung July, but from July 1 to 25, we had 6 provinces that experienced way below normal rainfall. And then most of the provinces, that's 47 provinces, experienced below normal rainfall, to be followed by near normal rainfall, 24 provinces, and then 5 provinces, mostly makikita yan sa may Central Visayas, 5 provinces that experience above normal rainfall, dito sa may bandang Bohol, and dito sa may bandang Zamboanga Peninsula, and then the Davao provinces. All right, so this is the temperature assessment for and extremes for June 2022. And then karamihan ng mga provinces natin, ng mga stations natin ay naka-experience ng near average to slightly below average nitong June 2022. Yung pinakamataas na temperature na naitala natin from June 1 to 30 ay na-register sa ISU Isabela State University on June 2. Nag-register siya ng 37.2 degrees Celsius. Ang pinakamababa naman ay naitala sa BSU sa La Trinidad Benguet noong June 25, 2022 with a temperature of 14.3 degrees Celsius. So ito po yung ating observed temperature extremes noong June 2022, noong nakaraang buwan. From July 1 to 24, 2022, ang pinakamainit na naitala natin ay sa NAIA sa Pasay City, 35.9 noong July 11, 2022. Ang pinakamababa naman similarly ay sa BSU sa La Trinidad Benguet, July 5, 15.0 degrees Celsius naman yun naitala niya. But for the entire period, July 1 to 25, 2022, karamihan ng mga stations natin ay naka-experience ng near average rainfall except for some stations malapit sa Metro Manila. Alright, so this is the minimum temperature anomaly and maximum temperature anomaly from July 1 to 25, 2022. Alright, for the summary, for June 2022, above to near normal rainfall conditions was experienced in most parts of northeastern Luzon, central Visayas, and northern Mindanao. Elsewhere, below to near normal rainfall was experienced in the country. For the temperature, near to colder than average surface air temperatures were felt in most parts of the country. Similarly, we are still under La Nina Advisory number 10. And from July 1 to 25, 2022, still below the near normal rainfall conditions in most parts of the country were felt, except in Davao region and some parts of central Visayas, where above to near normal rainfall was experienced. Near average or slightly above average surface temperatures were felt in most parts of the country in terms of temperature for the period July 1 to 25, 2022. With that, maraming salamat sa pakikinig. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Vasconcillo, for that very informative climate review. So we've experienced mostly below normal rainfall in most parts of the country for June and July of 2022. Yes, moving on to present to us the sub-seasonal to seasonal forecast. May I call on Mr. Juni Ruiz to present the sub-seasonal to seasonal forecast. Sir Juni, let's give him a round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I will be sharing the sub-seasonal climate forecast for 2 weeks. So the purpose of the sub-seasonal is it is the subset of a climate forecast. So it means a short-term climate forecast. So the outline of the presentation would be what is the sub-seasonal forecast? So ano ba talaga yung sub-seasonal forecast? Is it predictable like the weather forecast or the climate forecast? And what is the recent climate forecast of 1 to 2 weeks ahead of time? So first, let's discuss about what is the sub-seasonal forecast or the S2S. So it is stated here that it is a time average climate forecast with a time scale from 2 weeks up to 2 months. So unlike the weather forecast that it is up to 1 to 10 days only, and the climate forecast that starts from 1 month up to 1 year. So it acts like a bridge between those forecasts. Then the sub-seasonal forecast is part of the World Meteorological Organization's initiative to understand or improve the forecast skill and understanding on high-impact weather events. As we know that high-impact weather events happen in a period of 1 to 2 weeks, like the occurrence of enhanced monsoon, development of tropical cyclones, and other rain-bearing weather systems. So with the subseasonal forecast, or the 1 to 2 week or up to 2 months forecast, we will, or for the, especially for the Department of Agriculture, the water sector, and other planning agencies in the government, they will be able to improve the decision making and policy making, especially also with the DRR in with an impending natural disaster, 2 weeks or most possible 4 weeks before that happens. So that's the purpose of the subseasonal forecast. So as I have said earlier, so sa sinabi ko po kanina, it acts a bridge between the weather prediction or weather forecast, which is less than 2 weeks, and the seasonal prediction that 1 to 6 months or up to 1 year forecast. So with this, it bridges or fills the gap between the two most common forecasts or prediction system. But for now, this type of forecast still on the development stage. So there are more what you call that areas to improve as we progress on. So predictability of the subseasonal forecast. How predictable would it be? So as we know, the weather is based on what are the weather systems present up to a week. So that is how we forecast the weather system, the weather forecast. And the climate forecast is mainly based on the ENSO or the ongoing El Nino or La Nina or the neutral conditions that happens in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific, while the subseasonal forecasts are based on the occurrence or what we call the wind patterns or what we call the maiden Julian oscillation or the MGO. So I will discuss later what is the MGO. So for now, these are the main sources of the subseasonal predictability. For 1 to 2 weeks or up to a month, MGO is the most common source of predictability or what do you call it? Common predictor in predicting a weather disturbance that may affect the country 4 weeks ahead of time. While for a month or two is the El Nino or ENSO Southern Oscillation. So right now we are affected by the ongoing La Nina, which had affected greatly the rainfall that are brought by the weather systems that are present like now. Then the interaction of the stratosphere, troposphere interaction, or like the water vapor content and the jet stream. So these are the three main sources of predictability for the subseasonal forecast. And over the maritime continent, which is where the Philippines belong, MGO and ENSO are the most important sources of subseasonal forecast skill. So what is the MGO? It is stated here that it is an S-word propagating, so meaning it propagates this weather disturbance characterized by cloudiness, sudden pressure change, and wind propagates from Africa and to the Philippines and to the Americas in junction with the tropical areas, or it is near the equator. It only happens near the equator. It doesn't happen anywhere in the globe. So MGO only exists in the tropical area along the equator from which the Philippines belong to. And this weather disturbance lasts from 30 to 60 days. So as we see here on the left side, so for week 1, this is the weather disturbance brought about by the MGO. So a set of cloudiness that propagates as we go along from 30 to 60 days. And the composite of these cloudiness are shown in this graph or chart. An enhanced or increased rainfall or the enhanced phase of MGO is represented by blue and green shaded, while the decreased rainfall or suppressed part of the MGO is characterized by the brown or orange shaded areas. So as we go along, so from Africa, it propagates up to America. So from which it was divided into 8 phases, where the phase where it affects the Philippines is from phase 1 up to phase 6 or 7. So it is where our country, the Philippines, is affected by the MGO. So the common effects of the MGO, especially in the country, in the Philippines, is the enhanced and suppressed rainfall in the equatorial area, including the Philippines. So first, as we can see here, back to the MGO phase is first, there is a suppressed rainfall characterized by a suppressed rainfall first, then followed by an enhanced rainfall, then followed again by a suppressed rainfall. This is a common pattern of an MGO propagation from east to west along the equator area. So MGO may mean modulation of the rainfall that are brought about by weather systems such as monsoon, thunderstorms, intertropical convergence zone, and as a common modulator of tropical cyclone activity in the country. So some tropical cyclone events have been also modulated by the MGO, especially on the last part or the last quarter of the year. So there are some tropical cyclones that, even though only tropical depression, but had bring more rainfall in some areas, uh, especially on the eastern part of the Philippines. So MGO is also a source of what we call tropical cyclone intensification and the like. So after discussing the MGO, we will be discussing the recent evolution, or the monitoring of the MGO. So for the MGO, for the past 40 years, so just short discussion for the last 2 weeks, MGO had modulated the weather systems that affected our country. So as we recall, for the past 2 weeks, there are enhanced rainfall events, even though it is thunderstorm or brought about by LPAs, because we can see in this part, so it happened 2 weeks ago. The MGO is strong in the phase 4 and 5. So how do we know that the MGO is weak or strong? So we can see in this diagram, the MGO diagram, that if the lines are within the circle, it is a weak MGO, while if the lines are outside the circle, it is a strong MGO. So based on the assessment, the MGO for the past 2 weeks had affected our country and enhanced the weather systems that brought rain. So this is one of the significant parts of why we should know what the MGO is, the significance of the MGO in enhancing our weather systems. Then current monitoring of the MGO, as you can see here, the last part would be, it is in the African continent. So base here. And currently, the weather systems that are affecting our country are the tropical depression and LPAs, while the southwest is restricted by a tropical cyclone near Indonesia. So that is why we are not feeling the effects of southwest monsoon today at the current time. So for the MGO forecast, July 26 up to August 8, the enhanced MGO is characterized by the green to blue line, while the suppressed MGO would be characterized by the brown to orange line. As we can see here, the forecast of MGO would, from July to August 8, would be a suppressed phase of the MGO. It means that it may not affect the weather systems that are affecting our country. So it may also mean that less rainfall would be possible in in most parts of our country in the next 2 weeks. And the forecast of the MGOs we can see here. So maybe it's not clear, but this one is the propagating one from July 26 up to August 8, or for the next 2 weeks. A weak MGO that propagates in the West Africa to the Indian Ocean here. But since this MGO is inside the circle, it is a weak or suppressed portion of the MGO. So meaning, so we in the next few slides, we will be discussing its effects on our rainfall. So subseasonal climate forecast. So first, introduced here is the tropical cyclone threat potential. So this had been we presented it last January 2022 as like this. So for now, for the week 1, there are two, as presented by Sir Chris a while ago, there are two low pressure systems that are affecting our country, and the other one would be a tropical depression outside the Philippine area of responsibility. So with the forecast based on the GFS, this tropical depression or tropical cyclone may or may not enter the PAR area for the next 7 days. While for the week 2, a possible low pressure system, or commonly known as LPA3, is possible to develop outside the PAR, but also has a less likelihood of becoming a TC or a tropical cyclone, and may or may not enter the Philippine area of responsibility. So for week 1, if this tropical depression may enter the PAR, then we had an active TC threat. But if not, then it has no direct effect to our country. While the week 2, there is no active TC threat because there is a low likelihood of this tropical depression to become a tropical cyclone from August 3 to August 9. So common tropical cyclone tracks for July, as we can see here, there are 3 most common tropical tracks when a tropical cyclone is develops in the PAR area. It could be a recurving one towards Japan. Another one would hit the extreme northern part of the Philippines towards Taiwan, and the other one would be a land crossing tropical cyclone in the central Philippines that would be moving towards Hong Kong or Vietnam. And the fourth one would be along southern Luzon area. So while for August, there are 4 tropical cyclone tracks that are possible. 2 recurving ones towards Taiwan and Japan. And these are the tracks that may enhance the southwest monsoon towards the western sections of the country. And the other 2 would be a landfalling tropical cyclone in the extreme northern part of the Philippines and the northern part of Luzon. So these are the possible tracks of a tropical cyclone developing on August. So for the forecast of the rainfall exceedance probability forecast. So why do we call it a rainfall exceedance? Because it is, so why is it best expressed as an exceedance in a weekly terms? Because this is a subseasonal forecast, forecasting the rainfall in a daily basis would create more or a lower scale compared to a week 1 or week 2 time scale. So that is why it is for a subseasonal forecast, it is commonly expressed as a week 1, week 2, week 3, and 4 forecast. So as we can see here, the probability of exceedance shows us if the probability of rainfall would be greater than or higher if the color becomes intense, and low probability if the color is lighter. So for the week 1, we can see here that for most of the areas in the country, there is a higher chance or higher probability of rainfall exceeding 25 millimeter but less than 50 millimeter from July 27 up to August 2. While the probability of reaching 50 millimeter or below 100 millimeter is higher in areas in Central Luzon and parts of Northern Luzon and West Central Mindanao. While a lower probability characterized by lighter colors for the greater than 100 millimeter from July 27 up to August 2. While for the week 2 forecast, still has a higher probability of rainfall in most parts of our country from August 3 to August 9 to reach 25 millimeter but below 50 millimeter. While for the 50 millimeter and less than 100 millimeter, there is most parts of Luzon and some areas in Mindanao are forecasted to be having rainfall that are above 50 millimeter but less than 100 millimeter. And for the last, for the week, for the greater than 100 millimeter, there are some areas in the western side of Luzon that may be affected by a 100 millimeter but less than 150 millimeter of rainfall in week 2 or August 3 to August 9 period. So summary of the subseasonal forecast. So these are the possible high impact weather events that may affect the country in the next 2 weeks. Both in week 1 and week 2 of the 3C threat potential forecast suggests a TC which may or may not enter the PAR. In week 1, a likelihood of a low pressure area forming outside the PAR and has a low likelihood of becoming a TC. While for the rainfall exceedance, a higher possibility of 25 millimeter for week 1 and week 2 and 50 millimeter in some areas in Luzon and Mindanao for week 1 and more than 50 millimeter for week 2 in most parts of Luzon. While in 100 millimeter of probability of rainfall, for week 1, a lower chance of having 100 or more millimeter in most parts of the country. While in week 2, there are parts of the western side of Luzon that may receive 100 or more millimeters of rainfall for the week 2 coverage. And I think that ends my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that insightful presentation, Mr. Juni Ruiz.
All right. Again, Sir Juni, thank you. So now, one of the highlights of the Climate Forum is the monthly or the regular update of our monthly forecast. To give us the 6 months forecast or the climate outlook, please welcome Miss Rusi G. Abastillas. Let's give her a round of applause, please.
Good afternoon po sa ating lahat. And I hope na hindi tayo inaantok pa. So, sandali lang po. Sir Juni will share my presentation. Okay, good afternoon. So, I will be giving the climate outlook for for August to January 2022-2023. Okay. So the content of my presentation would be the La Nina update, then the climate outlook for rainfall, temperature, and also tropical cyclones from August to January of next year, and then summary. Okay. So sa ngayon, these are the conditions in the tropical Pacific wherein we could see that the cooling, kasi may La Nina tayo, is still evident in the Central Pacific, but as we could see here, the Eastern Pacific has slightly warmed, and also based from the 1 month change in the weekly SST anomalies, it shows also that the Eastern Pacific has warmed and the Central Pacific is still below average. So the recent SST departure in the 4 Nino regions still showed that Nino 4, this one, Nino 4, the West Pacific Nino region, the Nino 3.4, the Central Pacific, and the Nino 1+2 still has more than negative 0.5, which is the threshold for La Nina, except for Nino 3, which is as of the latest is negative 0.4. So still, during the last 4 weeks, the negative SST anomalies in the Central and Eastern Equatorial Pacific have weakened on the past week. Okay. So what are the chances of La Nina in the coming season? Okay. Okay, so what are the chances of La Nina in the coming season? So based from the official probabilistic forecast from the CPC and IRI of the United States of America, the model plus expert judgment shows that from the June, July, August until December, January, February, it shows that more than 50% probability is on La Nina. The probability for La Nina is higher compared to the neutral, and also for El Nino, which is very minimal until February, March, April. And also from the model forecast, this is purely objective forecast based on model output. It shows that until DJF also, it shows that about 55%, and the highest is 70% for September, October, November season, that the probability for La Nina will continue until this December, January, February 2022, 2023. And the probability for neutral have increased during the spring of 2023, which is March, April, May. So these are the models that we have referenced. We have taken this out of our forecast from these models. So this is the model from the IRICPC, which shows that most of these models, we have 16 out of 24 models, or 67%, suggest that La Nina continue until October, November, December 2022, while 68% to last until November, December, January 2022, 2023, then ENSO neutral is expected afterwards. And these are the average of all the models, which shows that the average of all the models also showed that the SST anomaly values from July, August, September until December, January, February shows the La Nina is still expected throughout the season. And also we have from the model from ECMWF and also from CFS, these are the leading models also that we are looking into before making our forecast. So still, ENSO alert system for PAGASA is still a La Nina advisory. And we have just issued La Nina advisory number 10. And our updated forecast is that La Nina is forecasted to continue until December, January, February 2022, 2023, with about 55 to 70% chance. And then ENSO neutral is expected thereafter. But still, La Nina increases the likelihood of having above normal rainfall conditions in some areas of the country. This just to show that we have several La Nina events that happened previously, and we have the strongest La Nina event recently is the 2010-2011, and we have the last 6 episodes that we call the back-to-back or double deep La Nina, and we have the latest, which is ongoing now. We have the 2020-2021, and then 2021, and then ongoing, and this will be the last, the third La Nina that happened 3 years in a row. The first one is in 1973 to 1976, then 1998 to 2001, and then we have the 2021, and if it will continue until 2023. And what are the weather systems that may affect the country? So, as already mentioned, we are still expecting storms, localized thunderstorms, then the intertropical convergence zone, which the axis is now over Luzon area, and then the southwest monsoon, which may last until September, last week of September or first early October, and then low pressure areas, the tropical cyclones, then the ridge of high pressure areas, which I think sometime we have experienced sunny and warm weather because of the ridge, and the easterlies, which is stronger during La Nina, tail end of the frontal system. This will be during northeast monsoon season also, and there's the transition from the northeast. A transition to northeast monsoon is expected in October. And then from November until January, we expect the amihan season already. And this is our rainfall map, as already explained. We have 4 colors. If we see red color, that means less than 40% of the normal is expected, so that is way below normal. If yellow, that is below normal, that is 41 to 80% of the normal. Then near normal is 81 to 120% of the normal, and then blue is greater than 120 or normal. So this is the monthly rainfall forecast for August, which shows that this is the normal rainfall for August, showing that the maximum rainfall is over the western sections of the country. This is our forecast, which also shows more rainfall over the western section of Luzon and some areas in the western section. And if we compare the normal, the forecast against the normal, we have this percent of normal, which shows that less rainfall or below normal rainfall is expected over the western section of Luzon. But in most parts of the country, we expect near normal and some areas that is expected to have above normal rainfall. But in terms of probability, it shows that the western section of Luzon also shows a higher probability for below normal rainfall. And in some areas, it shows that higher probability for above normal rainfall. For September, still the concentration is over the western section of Luzon. And this is our forecast. So comparing the forecast against the normal, we can see that most areas of the country are expected to receive near normal rainfall. But in terms of probability, it leans towards above normal, but the uncertainty is higher because we only have about 40 to 50% probability for above normal rainfall. And then this is for October. It shows that the rainfall concentration has already shifted towards the eastern section of the country. And this is our forecast. Comparing the forecast against the normal, we could see that most areas in central Luzon, Visayas, and also parts of Mindanao that is expected to have above normal rainfall. And in terms of probability, it also shows a higher probability, about 70%, of having above normal rainfall in the areas which is also expected to have above normal rainfall. And then for November, This already shows the concentration over the eastern section of the country. And this is our forecast. And comparing the forecast against the normal, it shows that most areas of Luzon are expected to have above normal rainfall. And it also shows in the probabilistic that there is a higher probability for above normal rainfall in November in most areas of Luzon, including Visayas and some parts of Mindanao. And for December, this is the forecast. This is the normal, which shows the higher concentration of rainfall over the eastern section, especially in Bicol region, eastern Visayas, and also eastern Mindanao. And this is our rainfall forecast for December, which shows that most areas of eastern Luzon, Bicol region, and Visayas, and some parts of western Mindanao expected to have above normal rainfall. And in terms of probability, there is also a higher probability for above normal rainfall. And for January, this also already showed that the western section of the country is below 50 millimeters of rainfall is expected, or dry season for the western sections. And this is our forecast, which shows higher rainfall amount in the eastern Visayas and eastern Mindanao area. So comparing the forecast against the normal, it shows that eastern sections of Luzon, most parts of Visayas and Mindanao are expected to have above normal rainfall, which also the probabilistic forecast also shows higher probability for above normal rainfall. So this is per province matrix for our percent of normal rainfall. So it shows that from October, November, December until January, most areas of Luzon, including the Visayas area and some parts of Mindanao, is expected to have normal rainfall. And this one is for in terms of millimeter per province. So we can see here the amount of rainfall expected in the provinces all over the Philippines. So this is the forecast for our watershed, for our selected dams and lakes in Luzon, which shows that for Angat, we have near normal for August to September and January, and above normal from October, November until December. And also in most dams in Luzon, we expect above normal rainfall, especially in October, November, December until January for rainfall. And then this is for the rain stations, which also shows that October, November, December, and January, most dams in the country, especially in Luzon, are expected to have near to above normal rainfall, except for August, wherein there are areas or dams that are expected to have below normal rainfall. So this is for the selected river basins for Luzon and Mindanao, which also shows near to above normal rainfall is expected in most river basins. This is also based on our rainfall forecast. For temperature, this is our forecast for the monthly mean temperature, which shows yung mga kulay pula, it means slightly above to way above average. And then pag kulay blue, slightly below average. So it shows that slightly the range of our forecast is from generally near average to slightly above average, except for some areas or some stations that is expected to have way above average temperature, but generally near to slightly above, and some areas that also have below average temperature. And for the extreme temperature ranges, so we expect higher temperatures still from in most areas of Luzon, around 38 degrees Celsius, 39. But we expect less minimum temperature to reach 9 degrees in the mountainous areas of Luzon, especially during the northeast monsoon season or January. So for number of dry days, day with less than 1 millimeter of rainfall, it shows that during the November, December, and January, it shows that more dry days is expected over the western sections of Luzon, including Visayas. So this is the anomaly. So pag nakikita natin dyan na kulay shade of red, it means increase, there is a positive or increased dry day. Shade of blue means nabawasan yung ating day with less than 1 or 0 na rainfall. So for tropical cyclone forecast, we expect a 2 or 3 from ganyan. We expect 2 or 3 in August and September. Then October, we expect 2 to 4. November, 2 or 3. In December, 1 or 2. And in January, 0 or 1. And then the tracks of this tropical cyclone has been already explained by Sir Juni a while ago. But in October, November, December, until January, we expect that the tracks of tropical cyclone are going from the central, from Luzon, southern Luzon, up to northern Mindanao, and also Visayas area. So for summary, La Nina is forecasted to continue until the DJF season with about 55 to 70% chance with ENSO neutral conditions thereafter. And then for the rainfall forecast, hindi ko na siya babasahin isa-isa because we have limited time. So, nandiyan naman. And then, for the forecast temperature also, generally, surface temperatures range from below average to slightly above average throughout the country during the forecast period. And we have, for tropical cyclone forecast, we have 9 to 13 tropical cyclones expected to enter or develop in the part from August to January 2023. So I think with that, maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Rusi. All right. So that's our last presentation for today's forum. So supposedly, the next session would be our open forum. But for the interest of time, we only have a few moments left here in our physical venue. So maybe if you have any questions regarding the previous presenters from the morning session and in this afternoon session, maybe you can, for our physical venue participants, maybe you can write it on the paper provided to you, or for our Zoom participants, you can type your questions in the chat box and our colleagues or our organizing committee will check your questions and will answer the appropriate details to those questions. So let us proceed to the awarding of certificates. May I call on Ma'am Bebot to read the certificate to be awarded to our
I will read the citation of this is a certificate of appreciation given to Mr. Ben Churchill, the head of the Regional Office for Asia and the Southwest Pacific of the WMO, in sincere appreciation and grateful recognition for his invaluable and continuous support in sharing his expertise as keynote speaker during the conduct of the 150th Climate Forum, given this 27th day of July 2022 at HIVE Hotel, Convention Place, Quezon City, signed Vicente B. Malano, Administrator and Permanent Representative of the Philippines to the WMO. May I call on Dr. Nat Servando and Dr. Esperanza Cayanan for the awarding of the Certificate of Appreciation for the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization. So let me read again the citation. This certificate of appreciation is given to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, Philippines, in sincere appreciation and grateful recognition for the invaluable and continuous support in sharing its resources and expertise through collaborative activities during the conduct of the 150th Climate Forum, given this 27th day of July 2022 at HIVE Hotel and Convention Place, Quezon City, signed Dr. Vicente Malano, Administrator of PAGASA. May we call on Ms. Carly to receive the award for the UN FAO organization, and may I call on Dr. Esperanza Cayanan and Dr. Nathaniel Servando to hand over the certificate.
Sa stage. Can we come up to the stage na lang po for better pictures lang po? All right, thank you, Doc Nats, Doc SP, and our PAO representatives, and of course, Ma'am Rosalina de Guzman. So, before we end this forum, we would like to request everyone to kindly fill out our forum satisfaction survey. Our colleagues, can you please assist us with the QR code for our forum satisfaction survey? And I believe every table here in the physical venue have the copy of the QR codes given to your table. All right. May also request our Zoom participants to also fill in this forum satisfaction survey. This will really help PAGASA improve its products and services and to give better service to the people. So while our colleagues are filling up the satisfaction survey, may I call on Dr. Nathaniel Servando, Deputy Administrator, to give the closing remarks. Doc Nance.
A pleasant afternoon to everyone. At this moment, we are about to conclude the Climate Outlook Forum, now on its 150th, since it was first conducted by the Climatology and Agro-Meteorology Division of PAGASA in 2003, almost 20 years ago na. As in previous fora, this event is an enabling effort, and I would say a wonderful initiative, primarily to disseminate information on the past and present climatic conditions and the outlook for the coming season, with the subseasonal to seasonal forecast range. This is also a platform to explain to stakeholders the effects of climate variability, particularly the extremes, which have influence on the regional and local climate conditions. I wish to congratulate the hardworking colleagues from the Climatology and Agrometeorology Division, particularly the Climate Monitoring and Prediction Section, not only for the conduct of this monthly forum, but also in the taking an active role in the ASEAN Regional Climate Outlook Forum, which is being done twice a year. We also humbly express our utmost appreciation to each and everyone who took time and effort to participate in this event. Foremost, we are very grateful to Undersecretary Renato U. Solidum Jr., Officer in charge of the Department of Science and Technology, for giving a keynote message this morning. To Mr. Ben Churchill of the WMO Regional Office of the Asia Pacific, for congratulating PAGASA in coordination or with the support of the Food and Agriculture Organization, and highlighting the Regional Climate Outlook Forum, and encouraging that the results or any information derived from this event should be adapted locally towards a climate change and DRR resilience region. And of course, encouraging strengthened collaboration among member countries. And also to Ms. Tamara Palis Duran, Assistant AVO Representative for Program, for giving inspirational message this morning as well. To the participants who are representatives and partners from the different sectors, from other national government agencies, local government units, the RRMO offices, from the academe, business and private sectors, NGOs, from the media. We are here, our former colleagues, Mr. Ariel Rojas from ABS-CBN, and I've seen Mr. Mang Tani of GME7. And of course, co-workers in PAGASA from different field stations from north to south, both physically present and those attending online. To our resource persons for today, Ms. Roth Jorget of FAO, and colleagues from CAD, from the Weather Division and Hydrometeorology Division, for giving informative discussions and presentation, and in making, for contributing in making this event a success. And of course, to PAGASA executive staff, headed by our administrator, Dr. Vicente Malano, together with Dr. Esperanza Kayanan, the chair of the organizing committee of this event. Special thanks also to the Food and Agriculture Office organization for your continued support for the Climate Information Service campaign like this event, and also for sponsoring this activity today. As we officially end this ceremony, we hope all the information shared today will be of great help in managing risks due to the various hydrometeorological hazards associated with extreme weather and climate events, thus contributing in making our country resilient to climate-related events. Thank you for your continued support to this activity, and we hope to see you again in the coming Climate Forum. I wish you all a very good afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Nathaniel Servando. All right. Thank you so much again, Dr. Servando, for the closing remarks. So I hope you all enjoyed and learned some things in the conduct of this 150th National Climate Forum. So this concludes our our event for today's session. So with that, we thank you everyone. This is Jer Andoran. And this is Val Villasica again. Thank you for coming to our 150th National Climate Forum. See you on the 150th, 51st National Climate Forum next month. Goodbye.